Okay, this is section 8.2, zero and negative exponents. So today we're going to continue looking at more properties of exponents, one of which is the zero as an exponent. Now anything raised to the zero power is going to give you 1 as long as your base is not 0. So when I have a to the 0 power, well, that's going to give me 1. And you can check this on your calculator as well. Another thing I could have is I could have parentheses 2x squared plus 7x to the 0 power. That's 1. So anything raised to the 0 power is going to give you 1. The next property we're going to talk about are negative exponents. Now, one of the rules is you can't have a negative exponent. So when I have a to the negative n, I have to rewrite this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend I've got a little fraction bar here. I'm going to take what's negative. This is in the numerator. I'm going to move it to the denominator. Now I can't leave my denominator bare, so I'm going to have 1 over a to the nth power. Now when I have x to the negative 2 power, I'm just going to bring x to the negative 2. I'm going to bring it down, so I have 1 over x squared. So just moving it from the numerator to the denominator, or the denominator to the numerator, is going to change that negative exponent to a positive. So let's look at some examples. I have negative 2 raised to the negative 2 power. Well, that's the same thing as, I'm going to take negative 2 to the negative 2 power. I'm going to bring it down. So I have 1 over negative 2 squared. That's 1 over 4, 1/4. Okay, negative 2 to the 0. That one's my favorite. Anything to the 0 power is 1. 5 to the negative x. A variable as an exponent's going to work just the same. I have 1 over 5 to the x. But what do I do if I have a fraction? When I have this negative, all I'm really doing is I'm flipping things around. So I'm going to rewrite it as 1 to the negative 1 power over 3 to the negative 1 power. Well, I know that if I move this from the numerator to the denominator, I'm going to have a positive exponent. So if I move this 3 to the negative 1 from the denominator to the numerator, then it's going to have a positive exponent. So my solution is going to be 3 over 1, or just 3. Now the negative exponents are going to take a little bit of getting used to, but once you're comfortable with it, you're going to be able to go really fast. Okay? 2/3 to the negative 1. So I have 2 to the negative 1 over 3 to the negative 1. Okay, that has a negative exponent. I'm going to bring it down. 3 to the negative 1 has a negative exponent, so I'm going to bring it up. So my solution is 3/2. Now look what we did. We just took the reciprocal of this number. So whenever I have negative 1, it's just another way of telling me to take the reciprocal. Now I have 4 times 3 to the negative x. Remember, this is still a fraction, it's just over 1. So I'm going to take 3 to the negative x, because I can't have a negative exponent, and I'm going to bring it down. My 4 is going to stay right where it is. So now I have 4 over 3 to the positive x. Okay, let's look at another one. I have 5g to the negative third power times h to the negative fourth. Well, h to the negative fourth is a negative exponent. G to the negative 3 is a negative exponent. I'm going to bring both of those down to the denominator. So I have 5 over g cubed h to the fourth. Okay, 2 to the negative third power raised to the negative 2 power. Okay, this is a product of powers. Oh, negative 3 times negative 2. Oh, that's 6. That gives me, oh, it's a positive 6. 2 to the 6th power. Now let's see, let's look at this one. Now this one I have 5 to the negative 1, x to the negative 7, y squared, all over a to the negative fourth. So this one I'm going to have a lot of things that I'm moving. Well, y squared is positive, so it's just going to stay. But 5 to the negative 1 and x to the negative 7 are going to go down to my denominator. A to the negative fourth is going to go up to my numerator. So my solution is a to the fourth y squared 5x to the 7th. Okay, let's look at one or two more. What if I have 3 to the negative 2 times 3 squared? Oh, well, this is like what we did yesterday. I'm going to, same base, I'm going to add my exponents. Oh, what's negative 2 plus positive 2? Oh, well, that's equal to 0, so that gives me 3 to the 0, which is 1. Now let's just say for an instant that, for example, that you didn't notice that negative 2 plus 2 gave you 0, and you said, okay, well, I've got 3 to the negative 2 times 3 squared. Up, this one's negative. I've got to bring this guy down. Bring him down. Oh, so now you have 3 squared over 3 squared. Anything over itself is equal to what? 1. So when we're working with exponents, there's a lot of ways to get to the same place. Let's take one more look at 2 to the negative third raised to the negative 2. Let's say that you didn't notice that negative 3 times negative 2 was going to give you positive 6. If you had worked it this way, you had 2 to the negative 3 raised to the negative 2. You could have said, well, I can't have this negative, so that's going to give me 1 over 2 cubed, got to move him down, all raised to the negative 2 power. Oh, well, that's 1 to the negative 2. This is 2 to the negative 6 because I'm still going to multiply that by my exponents. Well, now I need to move these guys. 2 to the negative 6 is going to go up to my numerator. 1 to the negative 2 is going to go down to my denominator. Oh, that gives me 2 to the 6th over 1 squared. Oh, 1 squared is just 1, so I'm left with 2 to the 6th. So there's multiple ways to get to the same place, and it's all based on you understanding how these rules work together.